You're listening to the She Lift Project podcast, a show dedicated to helping women achieve higher levels of success in the workplace. No matter where you are in your career, we want to help you grow. Now here's your host, Cynthia Kirkpatrick, a CPA, CFP, and Senior Financial Advisor at Moneta Group.
Welcome to another episode of the She Lift Project podcast. I'm Cynthia Kirkpatrick. Thanks for joining us today. And I'm excited to, we were just talking, almost the chairs are flipped. I'm excited to have an interviewer, radio personality extraordinaire in the chair today.
Wow.
Because I'll probably just sit back and coast. No. But Kelley Lamm is here with us. You have, again, you've been on the radio. You're an author, which is a lot of what we'll talk about today. But I think all of those pieces is I've read about you, we've shared this morning, is about bringing community together, yes. Joy, sharing information, knowledge, and positivity.
Oh my gosh, absolutely true. And you just, I should just have you come to my show and introduce me every time we start, because that was really nice.
We can make a little intro for each other. And
I wish we thought of ourselves as great as other people might use words to describe you, because we're so hard on ourselves. We don't really see, the goodness that someone else might say when they're introducing you. Everyone should get a chance to be introduced. It'll change their life.
And that might be, and hear that on repeat.
Yeah.
So that eventually you don't need that other person.
Right.
So the confidence is coming from
might
within.
Think it.
Right. Well, we were introduced by Tessa Greenspan, who's been on the podcast.
Amazing woman.
She just said, when Tess is amazing, wonderful, awesome, helpful. And she said, you have to meet Kelley. And I thought, well, when Tessa speaks, I do.
People listen.
Right. And you were so gracious enough to say, okay, I will meet this strange woman and talk to her, and then I'll come on her podcast. So I really
strange woman.
Although you're probably in this industry always out, as you were speaking just before the podcast, you're always out meeting people, and that you interview them, understand them, and become another good
accidentally.
Friend.
It's kind of accidentally, and I find that sometimes I walk away and I'm like, do they know anything about me? I think I was like taking the conversation, asking them, but it just happens. Just want to know.
My husband and I talk about this all the time. That's actually a great way to be in business. So much of this podcast, what is good in business is good in life, and what's good in life is good in business.
Right.
And so when you put yourself out there and you're asking a ton of questions and you're genuinely curious about that other person, that's the building the relationships that, however you are in business or networking, or 5 years down the road, it comes back to you. Right. I think when you can walk away and say, I learned more about them than they did about me, I think that's good relationship building.
Yeah, life is a learning lesson. I mean, you just, as you go along, it doesn't matter how old I get, I'm continually learning and kind of always figuring out where I want to be next, or if I'm where I'm at is where I'm supposed to be. I think everything leads you to the next place. My daughter is younger right now and thinking of a career move, and I'm like, go for it. Everything weaves a path for where you're supposed to be at. And if you make the right choice at that time, it's going to just keep leading you, further in your path, that journey that, you're building. And so the people that you meet along the way, you never know why you've met them and where they'll come back into your life or stay into your life. They may just be there for a short time because it's a stepping stone of where you're going to be next. And sometimes they're there for a very long time, for a certain reason. So you just got to go with it.
So many good nuggets and pieces there. And sometimes it's hard at the beginning of a podcast. I want to jump into all these different things. But a lot of that is, again, good business life lessons of, it's great to have a long-term plan, but also be flexible enough to pivot.
Oh my gosh, you have to be flexible, especially in this world. Change is always happening, and it's crucial to have change. It's just, we have to hope that the ripple effect that goes on with life, that we can get more positive change than, the negative that's out there. And we all know there's a lot of it and so much division. And so what can we do that can bring us together, and allow us to have a more positive outcome at the end of the day? Because there's always going to be something that's going to happen in life that throws us backwards. And so that you used the word joy when you were starting the interview, and that is my word that is my word for last year, actually. It's still really powerful in my life. So it's amazing when you pick up on something, how much you'll continually begin to see it over and over again when you make it part of your life. And I lost my mom. I didn't lose her. She left this earthly place, and which loved me. And that's really how, when we talk about Oala, how it started and to find that joy. And I knew that during a really difficult time, I would have to figure out how to continually find the joy in my life when that person was bringing me so much grief being gone, so finding that joy. This year, my word is gratitude. I've had patience, I've had love, and it's amazing when you put that into your life and constantly use it every day to start your day, those things start to happen. And gratitude is my word now, because again, life happens, and how do you find the grace and the ability to be thankful for everything you have? Because when you're upset or something happens, which we had a loss in our family, just it's been a month now, how do you find the ability to continue to have grace and be thankful for what you have? Because it's so easy to be afraid, to have fear, and to be sad. It really is. It's like the easiest trait we've been given. The other stuff, you really have to work at it and find a way to continually keep those in your life so that you are positive to others.
Well, and something we were talking about earlier, all those things you just said, it's easier. I don't know why. So maybe at some point somebody can come on and explain the brain and emotions, why it's so easy for us to fall into the negative tracks of emotions, whether it's the fear, it's, and as you said, there's so much negative out there, which part of my journey of starting a lot of this was there was so much negative. And I thought there's a lot of positive people out there.
Yes.
We should start, and why don't we start taking the microphone and saying, in a good way, we're going to try to spread love, kindness, joy. And I just don't understand. It's just what you said there. It is so easy.
Everyone has an opinion now. We have so much media, so many buttons we can press. Everyone has an opinion. And because so many hold on to that struggle with negativity, that they want to feed their opinion upon to everyone. And then sometimes we're silly enough to believe it rather than knowing our own self and where our strengths are, that we can't allow what someone else says or opinion to allow it to affect us. And what you're doing is fabulous, to find a way to lift people when things around us are continually happening is fabulous. I lost everything in 2008. I was one of those people that unfortunately kept dipping into their funds to try to save their business, thinking, I didn't know what was going on, until I used my last dime and my bedroom furniture was being rolled up the driveway because someone purchased it. Back in the day, we used, what was that where we sold everything? Now, we've got all these sites online and marketplace, but I don't know, whatever that was, everybody could sell things on that. And so I could pay my last employees. And it was a real struggle. And that's how I started my company, Be Deliciously Alive, which everything is under. And I did this big event in a car, a Mercedes-Benz over there in O'Fallon. They were having a horrible time. Everyone was, And so I said, I'll bring 100 people in, and you purchase the tables and the chairs, and we'll get booths. And we ended up having 70 vendors and a radio station come in, and 700 people came through the door. And it was the Be Deliciously Alive event. And I met Maxine Clark with Build-A-Bear. She made bears because we raised money for a charity. And I'm like, you know what? Anything's possible. And you can come back from anything if you just put your mind to it. And that just kind of started my new way. I still have mornings that I wake up. My husband's like, okay, you're out there telling people to be positive and motivated, and you have this, way about you that I fell in love with. He goes, don't lose it. Preach what you, I do what you preach, or whatever. So, I still have to be reminded to be deliciously alive at times, but, finding that joy.
Well,
really
I remember 08, 09 for sure, just being kind of in this business and accounting and all of that. And my middle child was born April of 09. And my husband was worried about his job and paychecks and things. And so being pregnant, emotional.
Oh my gosh.
And what everybody was
in
going
the middle of it all.
Yeah. Yeah. So what part of that, I mean, tell me about that story. It just sounds, there's a lot of people out there that are probably going through heartbreak or challenges of some kind, especially with COVID having just hit recently. You know, what happened? How did you get through it back then?
Yeah. If you're asking that question, I threw it because we live in the most amazing place. We came home. We just came back from out of the country, and we came home. We're like, we live on vacation. We live in an area called Newtown. Have you ever been out there?
I've heard of it. I haven't been out there.
Okay, you and your husband need to absolutely, sooner than later, take a drive, go out to Newtown, drive along past the waterways. They've got little shops, restaurants, people playing volleyball, golf cart community. You can paddleboard and kayak in the lakes, and they've got I don't know, lazy river to go in at the pool, and just find that place that gives you balance. But we love sitting on the front porch. I feel like I'm in Mayberry, or I call it Hallmark Village, where we live. But it's just you smile when you walk outside, like, gosh, I'm so happy to live here.
But being 08, 09, as you said, having to pay your last employees to where you're at today.
And moved in a little tiny bungalow. That's what my girls called it, because that's all I could afford, barely.
Yeah. How'd you get...
And I was single at the time, so...
So single, so one family, one income house, which is challenging.
Which was no income, actually.
Right. Yeah, I mean...
I sold things that let me, pay the first and last down payment. Not everybody has that. I had a wonderful family, too. My mom was there, and, having that support. Not everyone has a support, team that believes in you and is there, to be there for you. So, and sometimes I call it family. Sometimes it's not family. Some people don't maybe have a mom and dad or sisters and brothers or people, but you build what I call a family, and that's friends that become family, and they're there for you and help you move, and whatever you can to get to where you need to be. And sometimes those people, like I said, they're there for a short time, or they're there for a very long time.
I love that, family. That's a good way to put a good word.
You don't have to be blood to be family. My grandmother actually wasn't my blood. She was my mom's adopted mom, and there's people said we looked alike, acted alike. Blood is great if you have it, but if you don't, it's you have more than just an immediate blood relative that can be your family.
Still possible to build.
Oh yeah.
If you go out there and are curious about other people and have joy and spread it, and people want to be part of your family.
And I I started an event company, wrote a children's book back then, built a new home from the ground up, and got back on my feet. And then luckily found love about 4 years after all of that, because I'd been single 16 years. So there's a lot of people out there who think I never thought I'd remarry or find that person or anything like that after being divorced for 16 years. So, everything is possible. Really, everything is possible. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't build your dream. And a dream doesn't have to be something monumental. You don't have to be the next Amazon app, or a developer, or the next app, or it doesn't have to be huge. You just have to do what you want to do, something that's positive and going to make a difference, whether it's in one person's life or thousands of people's lives. You just have to set your mind to it and do it, and be around the right people that's going to inspire you and lift you up. I'm with a person who, my husband and my friends, but my husband, he lifts me. He is there to cheer me on and to support me. There's never been a, you shouldn't do that, or that's not, and you have to be around somebody that supports you and believes in what what you're doing, or is honest. If maybe they think that maybe let's step back and take a little look at that for a hot second,
Right. There are times where, it's like, you're 46, you're female, you're short, trying to be in the NBA today. It's probably not going to work. Let's rethink
but you
this.
Never know, right? Have you watched the movie with Will Smith? Oh my gosh, he plays the father of...
I haven't watched it. I know what you're talking about. Yes.
oh my goodness, what is wrong with my brain? Probably because it's not working today. This two sisters who became the Wimbledon all-time.
Yes, I did. The Williams. I don't remember the name of the.
I want to say
Venus
Vanessa.
and Serena
Venus. And Serena.
Yeah.
I mean, gosh, what a story. I didn't know they lived in poverty. I didn't know what they had to do, especially being Black and, back then, everything, the country clubs, the white people. And I mean, they really, when the one mother comes out and she says, you're too hard on your girls, and, kind of downing him. And he's like, and which street corner is your daughter working on this evening? Mine are at home, straight A students. So you raise yours, I'll raise mine. But, he never gave up, and he had a plan, and he believed in the plan, and it happened to the T. Yeah, it's amazing.
I think sometimes in today's world, especially with those movies, we often see the big end, right? The big celebration of who's achieved what.
Yeah.
But we don't, or maybe we rarely see the little steps along the way, to your point of figure out what you want to do, what you want to bring to the world.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be this monumental, you're going to become the number one player in the world in a sport like that. It could be smaller.
Yeah.
But you also don't know if you never get started, even with the little things. If you try to eat the whole elephant at one time, right? You won't be successful. But if you take the little bites and then are pivoting along the way, that's typically what leads to more success than from here to tomorrow, I'm going to become this new and greatest of whatever.
I've had to learn to be quiet. There's a lot of times I'm always constantly want to figure everything out. Want to, plan ahead. I've got to be everything in its spot. And sometimes you really just have to sit back. And that's a huge thing. That's part of gratitude, even taking that time to be thankful, but taking time to be quiet. Let your brain rest, so that whatever your beliefs are, whether if it's God or the universe or spiritual, whatever it might be, sometimes you have to wait, in my case, for God, which to me is the universe, to speak to you, to be quiet, and I'm really bad at being quiet. So it's quite a job for me to be quiet and be still and let things manifest and fall into place, as it should.
Is there a time when you did that, or a lesson where you're like, ooh, I should do this more often, where something came to you?
Yeah, I think because if you come in too fast, too hot and heavy, you can sometimes not make a clear choice, do things too quickly before you're really ready. Sometimes you have to dive in. I mean, I have definitely faked it till I made it many, many times. When I knew I wanted something, it was like, I'll do it. Oh my gosh, I don't know how to do this or what I'm going to do when I get there. I'm going to have to figure this out. I'm still figuring things out. That's never going to end. That's never going to end.
Yeah, so many great life lessons, and we haven't even talked about everything you have going on and
Sorry,
where
I
you're
don't
at
know how
today.
much time we have, just talking away.
I know, it happens. I mean, we usually do over an hour, and it just goes by so fast. So you talked about, in 08, 09, just really having to start over, and in 4 years you met your husband, and on the outside we would look at all these different ventures you have going on and think it must have just been smooth sailing for her.
Right,
she's so successful, has it going on.
Yeah. That's Facebook facade. your bio. But no, I don't think, gosh, maybe there's some that are born with the golden spoon, and everything just happens, and they grow up in a wealthy family. But, money doesn't, we see wealth out there. We see people that just have it all. And, life happens to them too. They just maybe be able to buy themselves out a little bit quicker or something like that, but there's been many, many times. I mean, growing up, most of us were ruined by our parents, and we had to spend money on counseling to figure out how to survive them. Parents are parents. For some reason, there's no special license or training. They can just start having kids and try to raise them on whatever, level that might be. But, you've just got to figure out really how to be quiet, to see where you're at. It doesn't mean that you're not going to cry or scream. There were times, man, I can remember being on my knees one time just praying, saying, help me through this. I can't do this anymore. I'm tired. I'm done. And, I had my own little pity party. I mean, I've had a terrible sickness that should have taken me, and, wondered why, why is this happening? When you have tragedy, when you have life happens, you're either going to fall and not get back up, which happens to a lot of people, sadly, or you're going to rise up better and you're going to do better than you ever have, because you're so determined to not let it take you down, that then you rise above it. And you just have to hope that maybe there's someone that walks into your life, and like I said in the beginning, there's going to be many, and they're going to stay there, or they're going to be there for a reason. And there's just going to be a nugget or something that happens that's going to make you survive. And really, when I was very, very sick, I got a terrible infection from a bug bite.
Oh.
And so it caused a massive, what they call MRSA, which can be something that you live, or you have methylene resistant, that the antibiotic can't fight it, and it starts to shut down your organs. And so most people probably remember the name Buzz Westfall, and he was in the room next to me. We both had it, and he died 5 days later, I think it was, or maybe 2 weeks. And for some reason, I'm still here. I made it. So they found, one of the antibiotics that, worked in my body. And over 6 months, I guess, of continual treatment, first IVs and then by oral, I was fine. And, I have a scar to remind me from the surgery, of trying to remove it and all that for the rest of my life. But, I came back and made it. Why me? Why not someone else? You never know. We have a purpose, and what is that purpose? But, I could have, and I had my pity parties, and I felt lonely, but I had more to do.
When was that? How long ago was that?
2003. I divorced in 2003, I guess. I'd start to forget the dates now. 2005, I guess, maybe is what it was. Yeah.
And was it just a random, because we're right now we're in cicada world universe.
They can't
here in
hurt you.
St. Louis.
Apparently, they urinate more than any species on the planet. But that's about the most harm, and I guess being noisy and crunchy or whatever. But no, it was just.
Were you out in the woods? Were you
I was at
camping?
a swimming pool and sat down. And I guess, got stung when I sat, and it just one of those things that my body reacted for whatever reason incorrectly. It was a very stressful time for me. So maybe the stress surmounted and brought some, stress is so dangerous to the body. And when you carry fear and anxiety and things like that, and I still have anxiety, I'm a high anxiety person. It maybe we don't know why. You never know why. But I still have to be very careful. That if I would have a surgery, or if I have to take medicine beforehand to assure that no infection will begin again. So there's precautions you take, but I don't think about it. I don't live going, oh my gosh, it might happen again. It happened.
Stuff happens, and even those from the outside that look all put together and successful, they've probably had to overcome challenges.
Oh my gosh, if there's somebody that says life's just been perfect or easy, that's just a fib. I'm fortunate that I've had a lot of wonderful things that have happened and continue to happen in my life, because there's a lot of people that go through much harder, horrific things. And there's a gentleman that does the Miracle Morning. It's a terrific small podcast, or I guess presentation, whatever, speaking engagement to listen to. But wow, what he survived the accident, what he went through, and what he wasn't ever supposed to walk again, and all that. And he always says, you have what do you say? Is it 5 5 minutes, I think he gives, to be angry or sad or whatever, whether it's someone driving down the highway that cuts you off or whatever, something big. You 5 minutes to be whatever you want to be. But that's really a long time. A lot can happen in 5 minutes. Maybe it's 5 seconds. That's terrible to not remember. But it's a short time. And once you're done with that, no longer. You've got to pick it up, get over your pity party, and get moving. But I go circling back around, and I apologize. I said when I got very sick, sometimes it's the simple things and people that come into your life briefly. And a girl that I worked with while I was in college, Carol Burke, she... we really had disconnected for a long time, which happens, life changes. And we had reconnected momentarily at that time. And it was the night before that I was literally, on my knees and praying and afraid of what was going to be next. And I was just so tired. And she brought over this little box. It was so cute. And it had a daily prayer, positive thought. It had peppermint tea because that's good for the stomach. And she just had all these little trinkets, as my husband laughs because I call things trinkets. And they were in there. And it was just such a powerful, impactful little item. And I'd had this journal and I was writing in it all these things that, whether I hated about my ex or hated about my life or I was sick, or it was just all these things. I was just, in this journal. And when she gave me that box, and it was just such a genuine, loving gift, that I picked up my journal, I tore all those negative pages out and said I would never write another negative comment. I'm even careful to not write the word no and just certain negative words. I'm careful to not write them in text or messages. I'll look at it, and if someone writes a negative message, I will delete it because I don't want to, even if my daughter and I are kind of having my one little sassy, my oldest daughter, having a little moment of, frustration in our text or something that, whatever. It's like, okay, that's deleted. I'm not going to, I'm not going to.
You get 5 minutes to get it out, and then we're deleting.
Yeah, now get over here. So I started writing positive. Anybody that brought me a special card or a poem or a nugget I would pick up from somebody or something like that, I would write in this journal, and it literally spills over. It's just falling out everywhere. And I literally, this journal that I was writing in, I was on a buying trip I had a restaurant called the Chocolate Cafe back then that I had lost in the midst of 2008 and all that. And I was at this buying thing, and I met someone. I was on a little bit of you meet someone. I've never seen this person again. I don't even have a name to kind of remember. And we had sat down and had some coffee in between our buying, extravaganza going for our businesses. And I guess I must have told her, my divorce was, going through all that and things were happening, and really excited about my new restaurant and getting that going. And she had somehow in the buying bought this journal that what's the dance the
song from Garth Brooks. Is that?
It's a very old song. I don't dance in the rain. She bought me this journal that had that song on it and just gave it to me. Just complete stranger gave it to me. And I, obviously that is the journal that I ended up filling to the brim. And I have a couple more now. I'm probably a little bit lazier than I should be writing in my journal. My daughter, Casey, gave me one, to reflect on each day. And I date every time I write in it because I'm not very good at every day. I keep letting the busy life get in the way. And so I am now going back, and then I look at the last day and think, oh my gosh, really that long again, but I still write in journals, just not as strenuous as I once was with that first journal. But I feel like that was a savior in my life when I look back on it and the things that I wrote and about finding love and just, it's like, oh, wow, great memories to look at and know that started from a very, very difficult, time in my life.
Again, great things here like those habits. If you need to change your habits, build something new in the early phases, you probably do need to write every day. You need to do something consistently every day.
I maybe say now drink water. Drink lots of water and do yoga. I don't care how cool and how big of a buff person you think you are. Get down on the floor and do yoga, because there's going to be a day where it's going to be super hard to stand up without making a grunt sound.
Well, and my husband does yoga, loves it. He's become so much more, just limber and able to move easier. So it helps him with the weightlifting and the
I told my husband 3 days a week, you're doing it. No ands, ifs, or buts about it. You're doing it with me. So
but the other things you mentioned, even the little small gifts, whether it was that small trinkets that your friend brought over, or the small book, maybe it was Singing in the Rain. I don't know, trying to keep racking my brain.
Yes,
it'll
come to me. But
yeah, it'll
again,
come to
my
you when we're
brain's not
done.
working very well today. It's a little on overdrive.
Right, you just got back in
Exhaustion,
town,
I think,
and
is
doing
what
all
it
that.
is.
But all those things add up and they matter, and you don't know what impact you're going to have, how you could change somebody else's life in passing. You've mentioned it more than once, though, that you were down on your knees praying. What had happened, if you can share? Was there a particular thing or moment, or what happened, and how did you get beyond?
It's crazy. It's like I seriously didn't want to be here. I mean, I did not want to be here. It was just too rough, too painful, too exhausting. I just, how am I going to do this? And of course, I have two beautiful daughters.
Or the divorce, getting sick, all of that?
Yeah, everything. It was everything. It really was, and you feel very unloved. I'm very cordial and get along great with my ex-husband now. It's like he's a brother or something in the family. I mean, we're all really get along, but it worked out because we were better to not be husband and wife. He wasn't his best self, for sure. I don't want to say how it was or how he treated me, because he's not here to be able to give his side of the story. So it's not very respectful. But to me, it was very, very difficult, the relationship. And so I was very tired from that. I couldn't fix it or make it better. And there was a lot of things. He was not the person that he is now, And so there were so many aspects to it all. My dad had passed away right when I had opened my restaurant. There's just a lot of things that may not affect someone else, but did me, in sickness and that. And so, but what was crazy is after that moment of just giving up and praying, and my friend Carol bringing that little box of trinkets over to me, I literally woke up the next day fully alive. I mean, I was like a skeleton. I was so thin. I was very thin. I think at one point, people around me thought maybe I was on drugs or something, because I had gotten so thin and was kind of out of it, but I was just very, very lonely, depressed in my head, tired, felt unloved, all those kind of things. Didn't know what I was going to do next. And I literally woke up just alive and knew that this was the first day of the rest of my life, and it was going to be so different. And I went through a little bit of I would say what you'd want to call a wild stage or something, where I went out, I saw places, I traveled to Vegas, just things that as a mom and being married are things that, I didn't do. And it was just extremely exhilarating. For me, it was wild. Someone else, it was probably nothing, but to me, it was a great fun. I met a lot of people, dated someone that had a really kind of, I don't know, fun-spirited, type of very calming or whatever, or not hurtful, I guess you should say, physical type person. And, just kind of opened my eyes. It wasn't someone there forever. It was just, you meet people along the way in your life that teach you something, that, what people can be like, how they can treat you. You realize the people that you really needed to keep in your life that were strength, that were good people. There's just so much you learn when you're out there finding yourself. And then I became an author in a book and wrote my story, Bittersweet. And then that kind of makes you look at yourself. I started speaking. I think a lot of speakers are people who have suffered. So when they suffer, being able to talk about it and be vulnerable and share with people like I am right now, a little piece of it, allows you to express. And I think other people go, oh, wow, I'm not alone. She made it. She's still here. She survived. She, found love or found a new business or built a new home or whatever it might be, or lived through an illness. I mean, it may be just one person that I might touch by telling my story and putting it into a way of speaking that they can take some nuggets home. You always want to get some sort of nugget when you listen to somebody that can benefit or, maybe change your life. I don't know what you would consider me saying this. I don't know if I've said it out loud. I think my husband knows, but I think I may have had a way even as a young girl of allowing people to realize, not that I didn't do a lot of things that may have been wrong or said something wrong to somebody or, but I couldn't stand anybody to bully or to hurt someone else. But I think I had ability, what my dad might have said, the gift of gab, making people maybe feel welcomed or feel better. And I ran into someone I went to high school years ago after high school in Target, and we're like, oh my gosh, hi, and gave a big hug, and she goes, oh my gosh, you've got to meet my daughter, Kelley. I named her after you, because I had impacted her life in some way that I don't even know or remember or whatever. And I had another young woman that met years after high school, and so I don't know if maybe there's something in my heart that opens up that I don't realize it does, but I'll never forget that. Like, what did I do that made you feel loved or, welcomed or made some sort of difference? So I told myself after I lost everything in 2008 that I would do nothing ever again that didn't have a way to give back. I can't write big checks, and change people's lives by paying off whatever or, writing $10,000 to charities or whatever. But I do have the ability to use my voice, whether it be the magazines that we own, which we own 3 of a huge corporation. There's over 200 city lifestyle magazines throughout the country, and we own 3 of them here locally: Chesterfield, Clayton, and St. Charles County City Lifestyle Magazine.
I love
Tomorrow
it. We get
with
it
Clementines.
every month.
On our cover, that was our women's issue. I was on, I guess, for 15 years of radio and some sort and some level there. And I've just said that whatever I do, I will be able to give back. So we, obviously we have to pay for every page that's in that magazine, but we'll donate to charity or by offering advertisement or our stories that we write. Absolutely 100%. My husband still cries when he talks about Grace Strobel. She's a local, and that would be a wonderful someone to talk to. She and her mom would come prepared, and she has Down syndrome. And she was, I think, I don't know if she was 18 when we met her, 19 at the time, but I'd read on Facebook she wanted to become a model. That was her goal. And she had some pictures on there. I'm like, I've got to meet her. So at that time, we were on 590 and had her on with her mom. And she's very excited. And she just everything was so positive, to be there. And she's just lovely. And she's like, yes, I want to be a model. I'm like, well, you are going to be a model. And she, one of her other things, she wanted to kiss a boy. Thought it was so cute. I want a boyfriend. And it was so simple, but it was just, she was really passionate, and it was she was manifesting it. And so we ended up in 2019. I guess we met her in 18, had her on the cover, did a photo shoot with a beautiful woman, Trina, who is a photographer who was working with Grace at the time. Grace felt very comfortable with her to do the photo shoot. And I mean, it was the most gorgeous cover. It was our February, and in her dress she had on looked like a heart shape. She had a red gown on a white couch, and then we wrote a story on her. And I can't. She's been in endless fashion shows. Our cover of our magazine ended up being on Good Morning, not Good Morning, the Today Show with Hodeth, and she went on that show, and our cover was behind her because she'd made the cover of the magazine. She'd up on New York Fashion Week. She's been on numerous fashion. She's now the face of Obagi, and she's a couple other modeling contracts, big things that she has. But she made it. She manifested it. She believed in it, and we loved meeting her and being part of her success. And we'll never forget that. And that's what we do. It's all about experience, whether it's our show, our magazines, bringing my children's book out, which we have a portion of the proceeds that go to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. By me, I used to be with them years ago with the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and then helping them to raise money over the years. And then I told my best friend yesterday, I said, wow, me being reconnected with Make-A-Wish again and doing the book, she's met them now. She's becoming a huge advocate and volunteer, which organizations, charitable foundations, they can't make it without volunteers. There may be 1 to 5 people, some of your bigger conglomerations that have become a money magnet, more so than maybe what they should. Their staffs are becoming enormous, which less and less money goes to the who needs it. But they're very small, and so they need hundreds of volunteers. Well, my friend Debbie has, become a volunteer, a wish granter. She's raised money for them. And I'm like, that's one person, but that one person is making such a difference. And that's all it takes. It's connecting and hoping that one person is going to get something from you that they're going to end up give to someone else and give to someone else. And man, what a better place it would be if we all could think that way, right?
Yeah, and a lot of everything you said there, it doesn't have to be a big check. It doesn't have to be a big, massive connection. Right, it would be nice. I would love to be able to do that because it means so many different things that, even just the simplest, smallest from all the stories you shared so far can and will have a huge impact. And sharing your story. You may think, and we've talked about this on the podcast before, in part, really one reason why my husband's like, well, you got to do this podcast is stories matter. Your life and what you've learned matters. And someone somewhere is going to pick up something from it that will change their trajectory or a piece of it.
Everyone has a story. They really do. Not everyone is able to share it or comfortable sharing it. But that's okay, as long as they can maybe find someone along the way that will share theirs, that they can benefit, from that. Sometimes I feel weird. I tend to, when everything was happening and I was speaking, I was blah, 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 just saying it all and just, throwing up all my, my things. And sometimes I'm having to reconnect with that again and sharing it because I don't feel sometimes worthy to share, because I feel like if I'm talking about it, I'm complaining or talking about when other people have it so much worse. My biggest, which I guess the hardest thing for me is when children suffer. I have a real hard time with children suffering or the abuse, or there's 325,000 family or people that our food banks are feeding just in in our area. There's a lot of people hungry, and there's I have all the stuff I wish I could do. I wish every school had a garden. I mean, how much could that possibly be to get every school required to build a garden? They have so much property, and the kids learn that's one of their classes, is to learn sustainable living. And then, of course, all this food can be canned and taken home for families in need, because in the summertime, they're not getting that breakfast and that lunch and those things that they need. And why can't we do these simple things? And I know gardening's hard, but there's volunteers for everything, and allowing the kids to learn how to do it will allow them a better life when they get older. People that had parents that gardened are the luckiest people ever, because they probably hated it as a kid. Right. My husband remembers me having to go out and do things, but man, what it teaches you as a life lesson for sustainable living. There's just so many little things that we could do as people. And then we get so busy and wrapped up in our life, because I talk about this, but I'm not out building a garden at a school right now, which I should be. It's something I truly wish I could figure out how to do. And I know I could. I'm just so busy in my life to figure it out.
Yeah, and as you said, everyone has something that they grew up with or think isn't important, that when in actuality you strip it down, whether it's farming, gardening, it can be something so simple, coaching, whatever it is, that a simple handout
Yeah.
to, say, I can help you. I'll help you in this, boardroom. I'll help speak up for you. I'll help guide you in an internship, whatever it might be.
If we could live our life with a purpose to serve someone else, to give back, it would be endless what this planet could be like if we were not so worried about greed and power and being in charge instead of being a team. You got to have leaders. But unfortunately, leaders sometimes find a path of that gives them control and power, and they forget to lead, and they start demanding, pushing, because they want more and want more. And if we could just give more, it would be a different culture.
How'd you figure that out?
It's just who I am. I think it's who I've become, the life lessons that I've had over time, that it's better to give than to take.
And it all comes back to you at some point.
Being quiet, again, learning to be quiet and listen, to your own soul, and take a peek around makes a huge difference.
We've talked about we've meandered through a lot of different things, but haven't hit them specifically, but all important, I think, in living hopefully a better, stronger, happier, more joyful, positive life. But also a lot of these things are great in a career, a business, building something. So thinking of all this, you've brought props today. I love this. They're not props though, really.
They're my stuff.
Right. They're here to explain what you are doing now, because you had a background and you went to school in media and communications. So
I have a communications major, a marketing minor.
So background in gab, gift of gab.
Gift of gab. Should have had a class on that. Talking 101.
Actually, I think that would probably be a really great
It is difficult
class,
for some people.
because communication probably leads to so much of what is wrong out there, like truly good communication. So we joke, but I think that could be even early on.
But I have to admit, it's funny. If I'm emceeing an event, I can speak, and I'm there for a reason. But if I go to just an event, I'm not the one running around the room to talk to everybody. I'm really not. I tend to stay in my place, and I enjoy a conversation. And sometimes I'm exhausted from when I leave, because there is a sense of onness when you're at an event or emceeing or hosting an event, that you just want to come down and be very quiet when you're done. And sometimes I catch myself, I'm like, my husband and I go to an event, we're sitting here talking to one another. We see each other all the time. Why are we not moving about the room and, meeting, other people? But I think you come to a point in your life too, when you get to a certain age. I mean, I'm 60 now, so I think you start to, quantity is not so important. It's quality now. So we tend to not run about to see how much we can, take in and get. And we just sit back.
I like to think that I'm an extroverted introvert, maybe.
Yeah, I am too.
A lot of what you said there I relate to when I go out. Sometimes I don't want to go out, but when I do, I usually have a great time. But I'm tired.
Yeah.
And I feel like growing up, there was this, if you were introverted, it was a negative kind of connotation.
You're
and
shy.
You should be, you're shy.
You're not nice or polite or rude, because they think you don't want to talk to them because, you're being quiet. But yeah.
So it's to be successful in life, I think you have to understand, who are you?
Yeah.
And what are those ways that you can then challenge yourself to get a little bit outside your comfort zone, talk to people at these events, but know that when I get home, I need some quiet time for half an hour, whatever it might, I need to decompress. And as you said, it's okay.
Right.
But maybe know yourself so that you know how you can push yourself in.
And knowing yourself, that's a huge word right there, because we're ever evolving, we're ever changing. I'm still me from the little girl I was, but I have immensely small little things to big things, have changed to be the person that I hope to be still. What's next?
Well, we hit a lot of pieces along the way, but again, we still haven't hit, because you keep
Yeah.
saying great things, so it makes me pause. When we spoke, we're like, let's come on and talk about your recent adventure, the book, and you've got Olive.
Yeah.
And you mentioned a little bit earlier on how this came about from your mom passing away. And I went onto the website, and it talks about having created this book for love, friendship, and a dash of bravery, that you want to inspire children to have courage and to live their dreams. A lot of what you have on your profile. So talk about the book. I'm going to stop talking.
Children they're our next generation. They're our future. And seeing a child have joy on their face, to be excited about something, if it's only a brief moment, is amazing. And when my mom had passed, sometimes you can lie in bed or curl up in a ball. And I was with her, when she took her last breath, and you never forget that. And this dog that was brought into our life a year after my mom passed, it was accidental. I usually don't get on the feed in our subdivision, because a lot of times people will write negative things, they get going. So I only go on there to post something or whatever. I usually don't scroll. And right when I opened it, this English Bulldog, cutest face in the world, was sitting there with a picture. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Then I could read, which I thought it was like a fake post, said that they're looking for a home. And I'm like, how could anybody look for a home for this gorgeous fur ball? I'm like, my heart it's just like everything just welled up inside of me. Like, I have to have her. And we had just lost our dog Roxy, and I said I would never have another dog again, because I can't stand the pain when they pass. They don't have long enough life. For some reason, God gave parrots 90 plus years to live. I have no idea why. And then give a dog, 8 to 15, and if you're lucky, you get more.
Very good point there.
What
Never
was he
thought about
thinking?
it.
I'm going to have a long talk about that. So when I get there. But so anyway, I said I have to get her. So I read this long message about Olive. And, I thought, I'm going to private message, and I wrote that we just lost Roxy. I said I'd never have a dog again, but I just instantly fell in love with this dog, and would love to meet her and, see if we'd be the perfect home. So anyway, she wrote me right back, said of course, she had hundreds of messages and text and whatever. And she goes, something felt right about yours. Would you like to meet her? And so, of course, we went over to the house, and they had 2 little small boys, and we know now why they needed to get rid of Olive. She had like 41 ailments. She high anxiety. She was a hot mess. When we got there, we were at the house for like 1 second, and her boys had Gordon in a headlock.
Your husband?
Yeah, they were wrestling him. They were wild beyond boy. We have 2 grandsons, and to me, they're all boy. And her little boy, oh my God, they're adorable. And so they were all over the place, and Olive was all over the place. And when she brought Olive over, Olive was kind of like, all over. And I'm like, what did I get myself into? Our island is, you can't see the table for viewing the show, but we have a huge island in our kitchen. It was filled with Olive's medicines and all of the paraphernalia that we needed to raise this dog. She was 2 at the time. And I'm like, what did I get myself into? I think my eyeballs were, she actually said, do not hesitate to call back if this doesn't work out. Because I think she saw the fear in my eyes, like, what the heck? And of course, we left for volleyball that night, and we had a little chocolate toy poodle, which we have Louie, and we put Louie in one room and Olive in the other because I thought she might eat him. When we came home from volleyball that night, Olive was on the couch, on her back. Her legs wouldn't come apart because she was so chubby at the time, and she was laying there sound asleep. I thought, well, someone's made themselves at home. And of course, it was a full-blown, is like I imprinted on her or something. Full-blown love, just unconditional, massive love that I have for this dog. Gordon, my husband, says, you still look at me like that. So she has, knock on wood, wherever that might be. Maybe this book there's paper. It came from a tree. She has no ailments. She is so healthy and lovely and wonderful. And so one night we're watching television, a storm came in, And she started making this crazy sound. She's running around like, what is going on? The thunder would, go, and she just did this crazy movement. We opened up the door to our upstairs porch, and she ran out there. And what I saw her do was she was afraid. Obviously, she was afraid by the sounds and the movement and what she was doing. We stayed close to her. But what she did was go out onto the porch to charge after whatever this was that was causing her fear. I'm going to attack it. I'm going to find out what it is. I need to know where it's coming from. And she barked a little bit at it, and so we brought her inside because, we wanted her calm and that. And she sat next to us. But what got me was she was afraid, but she did not let it stop her. And she went after it to research it, to figure out what the heck it was that was happening, around her. She does that for a lot of things that trigger her in her personality to come out to figure out what the vacuum is or the Windex bottle or whatever it might be. But and then the facials that she has, the movements, her face changes depending on the reaction of where she's at and what she's doing. And she brought me and my husband now so much joy that I had to express it somehow and allow other people to meet her and know her, because I think that she makes a difference in people's lives. So all these words were coming to me, and I sat down. So it's the Oh Olive, that's the series, and the first book is Oh No, a Thunderstorm. And then the next book is Oh No, a Creature in the Closet. And so they just kind of go from there. They're all Oh Olive, Oh No, and then something that, we kind of all go through as children or adults. My husband has to close the bathroom door because he doesn't like the light that comes out. Like, what's going to come out of the bathroom? It's just a weird thing. Even as adults, we have these stupid little quirks, that we have fear. Sometimes the fear is huge. It's losing your life, fear of that, or a struggle or a divorce or whatever it might be. As adults, we have fear. So I wrote this book. It's been a learning lesson, everything that go with it. The launch party was beautiful and amazing. And so my goal, it's not a get quick or get rich or whatever. It's truly a passion project that I'm taking on full on. But my goal was, again, to give back. So the Make-A-Wish Foundation gets a portion of the proceeds. It's not a huge, where there's tons of money, that you make when you write a book. But with that, besides the Make-A-Wish, my goal is to read to as many children in places that allow me to read. So we go to libraries and schools. I don't get paid for it. Now, it's wonderful if they end up buying a book, from it. That's everything. When someone wants to take a piece of it back with them because they think it will benefit or bring them joy. So we go to libraries and schools, even boutiques that do book signings. We're at the porch. We'll be at the Abbey. I was talking about that earlier, Hearth and Soul. There's places that have maybe a little children's boutique, or they're just a boutique. And April's on Main, had me. So it's wonderful when a retail store as well. My books are at Main Street Bookstore in St. Charles. I'll be at Barnes and Nobles. They carry. And so, when people want it, that's one thing. But then when you're there and you see these kids' face, because I bring Olive with me. So we bring a little bed and she comes in. There's a couple things that we were just at a reading at the Scenic Regional Library, which is in Warrenton. And we went in there and there's a little group of kids, and this little boy was a little fearful of Olive. And so Olive, all the kids were all over her, and it's a lot of stimulation. So we're careful with that as well. But she was there and she saw this little boy and he was sitting back because he was a little afraid. And he saw her look. She actually looked at him and he put his feet up and what is it, applesauce? You can't say.
Yeah, crisscross.
Yep. Yeah, the right way. We have to say everything right. So he's sitting there like that to keep his legs up to be above. And she literally pulled me and went to him. It's like she knew he had fear of her, and she went to him and put her nose on him, like, you're not here. I'll come to you. It was amazing. And then he did pet her, and then he came up close for the story time and wasn't afraid, anymore. And then I went to a school. There's like 200 kids I was reading it over at St. Clement. It's a Catholic school over in Ladue, and there was hundreds of kids. And I recently, in fact, our women's issue, Dr. Otto, I went to their home for the photo shoot she's on the St. Charles cover. Their home is magnificent. It's just, I've never been in such a beautiful home, and I've been in beautiful. It's just incredible. And like you have to pick your chin up. You're looking through it, and very successful young couple with auto orthodontics, and beautiful couple. I told my husband, I'm like, they're like they're the poster people for the most amazing, beautiful, beautiful family in their home, and I'm in there thinking they have it all, this is just amazing. In walks their three little girls. They have twins, which were the older girls, and then little Teddy, who's I guess maybe kindergarten at school or something. Anyway, they walk in, and the little girl sees me. She looked at me like I looked at the couple in their home. She literally put her arms out and goes, "Oh my gosh, you're Olive's mommy," So I didn't realize they went to that school. I was the greatest thing since chocolate or cupcakes when she saw me standing there, because Olive and the story impacted these children. And the little boy, one of the little boys says, "This is the best day ever." At another school I was at. And those little things you never forget. And luckily I happened to have one of my Olive, because they weren't in yet. They had come in, I guess, a month ago, my Olives, which are replicas of Olive and have a tag that say, "Oh, Olive." And Olive literally has hearts on her fur pattern. Very distinctive heart patterns, a heart on her right ear, on her left side, really big little ones on her belly. I just feel like she's just like, dog spilled backwards. She's an incredible angel in people's lives, and filled with love, and has so much to give to everyone. And so that was a cool moment. So I had one of my Olive pups with me, and left it with her. And you would have thought, I left her a Porsche out in the front driveway. She was, they were so excited to have it. So those are joyful moments that, you don't forget, and know that if that was just one happening, I did something right by doing this book and allowing Olive to meet other people. And she does it to adults too. When she's sitting on the porch, when they walk by, they can't stop, but they want to get near her. And my daughter was over one day, and we're sitting on the porch talking, and this woman's riding by on her bike, and Olive's laying there. She goes, "Hi, Olive." My daughter and I are laughing, like, she didn't say hi to us, she didn't know who we were, but she's like, "Hi, Olive." She knew Olive. And so that was, just adorable that she kept that she brought joy to that woman as she was, driving by. So it really lights my soul up, and I know that it does others. So I'm going to keep doing it as long as I can. There's, with everything, when you start a business, there's, huge risk and cost with doing it. My husband never batted an eye or said, "No, you shouldn't." It's like, go for it, do it, and see what happens, and I'm still seeing what happens, with it. But there's been some really big moments that have happened with the book.
But it's funny, as you're sitting here, and I've thought of this, and there have been some books, like John O'Leary has a second book that talks about. He's
awesome. He was on the cover of our magazine last June.
Yeah, I mean, that, living, if adults maybe could live life more like a child, or Olive, sounds like, yep, with love and awe and wonderment.
That's my next speaking, actually, is just that, is adults learning to be playful again. That if we could bring out that playful soul, inner soul that we lose with life because so much happens to us, you're 100%, if 500% right. If we could find that inner self, that childlike self to come out, we would have so much more fun in life. I mean, you laugh when you see little kids. They look like little drunk little drunk people walking around, and they're so excited to get up and walk, and to touch something, and colors magnify to them, and the giggle, and they really just need such simple things to grow and be a good human. And it's just a playful attitude about everything, but can you imagine, we don't want to shove everything in our mouth, and
right.
We don't want to be like dogs, walk up and smell people, but there's some things we can learn from animals. And first of all, that's the unconditional love that they give. It's incredible how a dog, I don't have a cat, so I don't know, but I mean, I can walk out the door just to water the plants and come back in, and my dog treats me like I've been gone a year. So, I mean, Olive might take, we kind of live in Olive's world. Bulldogs are a whole nother creature when it comes to pets. They work on their time, their time and their time alone, and you're just part of it. But yeah, I think there's a lot we could learn from being playful again.
I like that. And I don't know if we've got a good camera, but here's the Olive. I'm going to get in trouble for
she's
using.
Squeezably.
And I'm going to make sure I'm not going to write on it accidentally. The little hearts on it.
Yeah. To symbolize her.
And I'm possum.
And that's our key tagline, our niche word. Olive is possum. I always have the kids when we're finished, on a count of 3 to say I'm possum, and I'm like, every day you're awesome, but you are completely possum, and know that you're just an amazing human being. So I think that we all need to have a little possumness in us.
And the book, if you can hold up so people can kind of see, you've got the hard copy here.
Yes, and I have, this is the soft copy as well. Okay. And of course, my website, OLiveTheBulldog.com. You can order a plushie or a hard copy or soft copy. And, basically, the back of it, join me, Olive the Bulldog, on a possum adventure. Let's chase away the thunder, find the courage within ourselves. Together, we'll learn that even amidst the stormiest of times, when the sky may go boom, bam, bump, thump, splish, splash, or even a crackle, crack, a dash of bravery can make our hearts shine brighter than ever before. And that's kind of the meaning behind the book. And the illustrations, that's a whole surreal piece of this book as well. Isabel Brewster is just a beautiful young woman. She's, I guess, early 20s. She's now an art teacher. That just happened after the illustrations that she did for Oh Olive. We met through somebody, how someone introduces, and I had met other illustrators, and nothing resonated. And I knew I couldn't draw it the way that I wanted to. Stick figures weren't going to work this time. So
there's a limit to your talents.
Yeah, there is definitely, and that is a huge part of it. I can't sing either. You don't want me to sing, especially at karaoke, bring the room down. But my husband says I can. But so that's something I fear. I mean, I sit there and twiddle my clothes when I'm nervous, like a little kid. And if you get me up there on a karaoke mic, I start twiddling my T-shirt and turning red, just thinking about it right now. I can get up and speak and do anything, but tell me to sing, and oh my gosh, I can't breathe. So, because I don't want to do anything I don't have control of and know how to do. So, I guess that's the real reason right there. But I can't draw. So, Isabella, someone introduced me to, and she said, send me a picture of Olive. Send me a picture. This is actually our window. That's us her looking out at Newtown. It takes place in Newtown, and I mean, within hours, she sent me back a couple drawings. I mean, you well up that kind of tear feeling you get, and everything gets all warm and fuzzy. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I loved her name too. I'm like, Isabella, and you can draw. So we met in person, and she's just a beautiful, angelic soul. And we worked together for months, and we'd meet. We always met, and then we'd do things, over the phone and on the computer, and it just came to fruition. And then the person who laid out the book for me was another treasure that I met through somebody we wrote a story on in our magazine. We did a story on him, and I remember him saying that he had to have somebody do some graphic layout or work for him for his art pieces so he could put them on his website and digitally put them on something. So I remembered that, luckily, and called him. He said, oh, yeah, give Rodney a call. And he lived in Cape Girardeau or past that. And we ended up driving and met him in Cape Girardeau personally. And now he's he's the person who laid out my book and did the graphics, that we needed to go along with it. And here's the real Olive inside, so you can meet her. And she loves to chase leaves, and she was on the cover of our August Kids and Pets issue. I guess last August. because I just launched my book in last September. So that's actually the cover of the August issue. This was the cover of the Chesterfield issue, and this was the cover of the Clayton issue. So, it has little perks when you own your own magazine if you really want to showcase something. But it was a highlight. People loved seeing her on the cover. She brought so much joy again. But so with that, meeting Isabella, meeting Rodney, it's again, sometimes being quiet. Don't get discouraged when the wrong things come in your way, or it's too expensive, or you're afraid you can't do it. And you put all this fear in you and this worry of what if I spend these thousands that, I shouldn't be spending, they should be here instead on this passion project, and I fail. I wouldn't be sitting here talking about it right now and able to do what I'm doing and bringing the joy that I am to kids if I was so fearful of it. So I had to let go of that fear and go for it. I still have to remind myself to let go of the fear and go for it.
When I think about your history and radio and media and Gift of Gab and the magazines that you have, the I'm Possum. I'm looking at your bag right there, and I love that it's her little picture and says I'm Possum. That, the book, the organizations you're involved with, going back to something I found somewhere on one of your media pieces, is it all goes back to creating experiences that are bringing people together, communities together, to have, as you had written somewhere, seek joy and share it. And, while it may seem like potentially these are different ventures, to me, it all comes back to the core of you, which is that light, love, joy, positivity, even if it starts with the tiniest of pebbles into the water. Getting there to be brave and have courage and get out there. So you're out there helping people and working with people. But I know when we first spoke, as you mentioned, whether it's the magazine or listening to people through the magazine, people, if they're interested in the magazine, can be place ads in here.
Honestly, with any business, there's the reason you get to do what you do. So the lifeblood of our magazines are the incredible advertisers that we have. We really have met along the way in our journey since 2017, some incredible business owners, heads of organizations, and they believe in our product. We have some people have been on with they signing their third 36 issue agreement. That's says everything. There's some that still love us, but for some reason, whatever it is, their budget or doing new things, we didn't fit, but we're still very good friends. You can't please everyone. There's always going to be, somebody for some reason, but that's just, another problem in their life that maybe we get or we get the blunt of it or something, that's everyone. But I would have to say 95% of the time, it's a beautiful project that we have as our work, and our advertisers are 100% the lifeblood of the magazine, because they believe in their community, they believe in the people, and they want them to come to their business. They want people to see them. Isn't that what it's all about? So with that, they've taken a leap of faith to believe in the product that we have, and we go above and beyond for the people that support us. And our mission is to make sure that the product we put out is beautiful. From the front of that cover to the back of that cover is what I do.
With or without the ice cream, all of your covers have looked beautiful.
Well,
I know.
It's like any book. And we say, if I put the same thing on the front every single time, it would get boring. Would you want to open it? And the inside the stories, I always think, am I going to run out of things to write about, and put in there? And we have some incredibly talented writers, and, we try to find those nuggets out there, those people. We try to find a way to write about businesses. We don't want to write an advertorial on a business. We want to write a story. We want you to be able to, to know tomorrow. She has the ice cream places. You may not even know that she owns them, for some, but you've heard of probably Clementine, especially since Oprah made it one of her favorite. But do you really know her? And sometimes when you know somebody, it makes you want to do business with them. It makes you want to be a part of what they're doing because you believe in them. You feel a sense of connection reading about them. And that's what we try to do it's our main goal. Our passion is to bring people together for some reason. I mean, we don't know what that community involvement's going to end up being by them coming together. I mean, when someone writes us after their story hits, or, a business says someone walked in and said, I want this after seeing the magazine, or someone read the story and maybe they didn't buy from them, but they end up taking their business to the next level because they got involved somehow. There's so many stories and things that have happened from bringing community together through our magazines, and we also have our show, In Your City Show, and that I had the Be Deliciously Alive show. It went to the Kelley Lamm show. It went to the She Said He Said show when my husband got involved, and then from there, really the last couple years when we decided to go from radio to podcast and took a year off again to be quiet and see what we were really supposed to do. We're like, gosh, we do these magazines. How can we bring to life what's inside there and give people a voice again on a really fun level? And that's when I was telling you, we go out on the road. We just came back from Punta Cana at the Secret Tides destination, new resort that's been open 3 months. Travel leaders who believes in us, who advertises with us, told secrets, the Hyatt collection, which actually owns them now. And we were sent all the way we were the furthest place that we've been to Arizona at a dude ranch to talk about that and share a story on it, which was an amazing experience. But all the way there to bring back and share through our show and through our magazine an experience at this new resort. I mean, gosh, what they didn't pay us thousands of dollars to do it, but actually they did because the way they were there, we didn't, pay for it. But we do have every page in that magazine cost us. It's not like it's just because someone gets a free article in it doesn't mean it was free to us. It's just right. What we do. And we have to make sure that the money that's brought in because of the incredible advertisers to be able to build their business, because that's why they're in there, is to grow. We, from there, grow community by what we put in our publications. So we love to write stories, but sometimes I think people don't grasp that, yeah, you got a free article, but we paid for that. We took out of what we would make, to make sure that story got 4 pages or 6 pages or, whatever it might, be. And we have to sell a lot of advertisement to make sure, for every page that's an advertiser has to be a page of editorial. So when someone says, oh, there's a lot of ads, no, it's 50-50, and we need 50-50 to be able to afford to write those stories and mail it to over 45,000 homes. We mail those magazines to every single month.
And I remember talking to you, which I thought, and then we will wrap this up, but it just reminded me when we spoke over the phone that it wasn't about I'll take anybody and try to get anybody to advertise in these magazines. It was, I want to make sure it's a win-win situation.
It's got to be a good fit. It's got to be the right.
Not everybody has that mindset.
It has to be the right fit. And we also make sure that we don't put over 3 of any business. Mm-hmm. We want to assure that if you're in our magazine, unless we become a 200-page magazine or something, we won't allow more than 3 of a business to be in there, because we want to make sure that you're seen, that you're heard. You're not stuck in with 100 other people doing the same thing, and then you got to eeny, meeny, miny, mo, or which outfit you like best, or whose smile resonated with you the most to pick or something, or go into research. But yeah, they're very important to us, what we do, and the book is a whole nother different facet of children, but it also is bringing parents joy to see their child have a joyful experience and the pleasure of being able to give back. Doesn't mean that there aren't hard days. You might look at our show or look at our magazine or look at my children's book and think, oh, wow, what a great job. How much fun that is. As well as anyone, there's a lot of behind the scenes risk you take, money you might lose, failure that can happen. You allowed someone to be a part of your business that maybe wasn't such a good soul, that, tried to see what, there's bullies out there. There always will be, unfortunately. You just have to learn how to handle it. But, you have to look at the good and be reminded of it. And my husband and I were talking about that. He's like, we're coming back because I'm on fire. I'm ready to, change the world and get out there. And it was cute to hear him doing that. But, sometimes you just need a moment to get re-inspired again and re-motivated. And no matter how great your life is or may seem, we're always going through trials. So how are we going to find those treats and those trinkets that come our way that brighten our day? And even my hardest times, if I know we're getting down to your time, but even when I was at my breaking point, and if you've never been at a breaking point, it's devastating, debilitating to be at a point where you feel it's such a loss. You don't know how you're going to come back from it. But I still always asked, and I still do every morning, I always ask for, please allow the light to shine within my soul so that I can shine brightly on others. Because when you do that, there's no way you can lose or fail when you continue to shine brightly for others. Don't allow them to take and put you into darkness, because they suck the light out of you. It's freely giving it and refilling and replenishing yourself with those things that allow your light to shine.
Wow. I still have two things to wrap this up, but I think that was a great great advice.
Okay, cut. We're done.
To share, right? People finding you. So you have a website,
yes,
for Olive.
Olive. So her name's Olive, but it's OLiveTheBulldog.com. That is the website that you can find out about Olive. There's some a tab on there where you can get coloring pages, and we'll do coloring contests where the kids can win a full a package, which I still have to send the winner. Apologize for our Easter. Life kind of happened in between some things, but I have our winner I have a box downstairs with it filled, and I need to send it out to the winner. But OLiveTheBulldog.com is my children's book. And then, of course, you can go to CityLifestyle.com. You can learn about any of the magazines through CityLifestyle.com. And if you just click magazines, of course, you can click ours. So we have Chesterfield, Clayton, and St. Charles County. Or you can do CityLifestyle.com / and just directly hit Clayton, and you can, find me there. Of course, you can always email me and get a hold of me on LinkedIn or all the, Instagram. We have a page for every magazine. I have my LinkedIn, under my name. My Montgomery, hyphenated Montgomery, is on my personal social media pages, and Lamm. A lot of people want to put a B on the end, Lamm, Mary, for my last name. But yeah, there's numerous ways to get a hold of me.
So we talked about earlier in this podcast or episode, through a lot of what we spoke about really is stories are important, sharing them, helping others. You clearly know a lot of amazing people doing a lot of amazing things.
Meet a lot. I'm so thankful for that. I'm huge.
Suggestions on people we should have on the show?
Skim through the magazine, you'll find a lot of them. I probably have pages and pages of incredible people that you should meet. I don't know if it's both women and men, but there's so many. And they'll start coming to you if they haven't already. As you get out there and you're meeting people, someone is going to say, oh, like Tessa, you need to know, Kelley or whatever. That's going to happen. And they're going to come to you. It's very surreal how it just starts to happen. Or you're at an event, the LBB event, the lady that runs the Girl Scout community or organization, and you're listening to her and you're like, there's that, I'm writing it down, there's a great story. And I really tend to I have to catch myself. I'm always looking for that woman out there that has a story, because I want women to be strong and build their lives. Sometimes we find ourselves, I'm from a different generation, as the young people now, and still even now, young people become codependent and they're dependent upon somebody, whether it's a partner, the relationship that they're in, or in my case, being a woman that's had, men in her life, being married to someone a long time and then newly married 5 years to Gordon now. You can be a very, very strong person and really have your stuff together and be building your life, but at home or in a situation, you end up being a very weak person. and not allowing yourself to grow the way you truly should. And you really need to, women are powerful, filled with an abundance of knowledge. And we've actually done so much in this world that didn't get a lot of credit for, and was not to be, because I don't mean to bash men, because I love men and love being married to a man, but we are just as strong. And I'm not a woman that wants to get in a helicopter and fight battle. I don't have it in me. We'd lose the war if I was out there battling. I know my place and where my strengths would be, and that's where I need to be in case of something that I have to help the world or country fight. I'll figure out where my path is. I love when my husband opens my door for me. Some women might find that offensive because I can do it myself. I'm not in that place. I know where my strengths are, and he knows where his strengths are, and we balance out each other perfect because of that. We don't try to tower over one another to own one or step on one or be stronger than the other. Where his strengths are perfect, and where I'm never going to learn how to use that lawnmower that's in the garage ever. It's one of those battery operated ever, just so I don't have to do it. He knows. And we have we live in Newtown, so our yard, we have the fake grass, whatever, AstroTurf in our backyard, which is amazing, but our front is grass. It takes them 10 minutes. But, it's funny. It's like, I'm not mowing that lawn, and you can open my door anytime you want. I love it. But, you find where you want to be, but I really love to build women and allow them to shine and find their strengths, and don't be in a relationship of any sort, whether it's a friend, it's a partner, it's a marriage. Don't be around our family. Do not allow someone to be in your life that is going to take you down and not allow you to grow and continue to be the person that is. And I don't mean setting the world on fire. I don't mean a woman or a man. I don't mean that if you decide to be a stay-at-home parent, that is just, if you have the ability to do that and afford that, that is just as powerful as any corporate or being the president of the United States. I mean, our children need us. There's no job that's too small that anybody can't be great at. Just it's what your strength is, and do it the best you can. These kids today, there's so much entitlement and expectations. When we went to school, we got in trouble at school. When we went home, we got in trouble at home. I mean, we were taught respect. And when you work for somebody, you give it your whole heart. If you don't want to work there anymore, be kind enough, unless something horrendous is done to you, be kind enough to know that it's time that you want to grow and move on from that and be respectful how you do it. There's just a different way. Now you get in trouble at school, and then the teacher gets in trouble at school. There's got to be the right balance in the world so that we can all succeed.
Yeah, very well said. I think, a lot of what you said here is so important. I always say that on every podcast, but
because everybody has something to give,
right?
If we can just, again, it's just everyone has something that they can offer that will leave us with either something extremely powerful or a nugget or a seed that's going to grow.
Yeah, and the family and the learn to be quiet and allow your light to shine, live like
good
life like a kid's or a dog. I know that's
you did good in school.
I did pretty good, which isn't necessarily good for business. But at the end of the day, so many great things, both personally and I think professionally, that you brought to the table that I love learning from each of these. So thank you for
appreciate it.
Flying back in town and coming and being so open and vulnerable and sharing such great content and life lessons. So thank you, Kelley.
Thank you.
I can't wait when this is released and to see what else comes from all the positive things you're putting out in the world.
Oh, I appreciate it. Just keep growing. See what's next.
This concludes another episode of the She Lift Project podcast. To hear more episodes of the show, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And to learn more about our mission of helping women reach higher levels of success, visit sheliftproject.com and sign up to receive the latest news, ebooks, videos, and more.